In today's video, we will make a lacy leaf scarf. The free pattern is on my blog, lacycrochet.blogspot.com. I will use Caron Simply Soft Yarn and a hook size G, 4.25 millimeters. This stitch is a multiple of 12 plus 1. For my scarf, I will start with chain 37. 1, 2, 3, 4. So here I have 37 chains and I'm ready to start my row 1. Into the 7th chain from the hook I will make my first treble 4 cluster. We never count the chain on the hook, we always start counting from the next chain. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So into this chain I make my first treble 4 cluster. So yarn over twice and I make my first treble, but I don't finish it. Now I make a second treble into the same chain, and again I don't finish it. Then I make a third treble, I don't finish it, and finally I make a fourth treble into the same chain. And now that I have 4 trebles, I finish them all together. So this is my first treble 4 cluster. Now I make 4 chains, 1, 2, 3, 4, and into the same chain where the cluster was made, I make a single crochet. Again, I make 4 chains, 1, 2, 3, 4. And I'm going to make a second treble 4 cluster into the same chain where the first one was made. So yarn over twice and I make my first treble, which I don't finish. I make my second treble, then I make my third treble, and finally I make my fourth treble. And now I finish them all together. So here I have, into this chain I made first treble 4 cluster, then chain 4, single crochet, chain 4, and my second treble 4 cluster. Next I make 4 chains, 1, 2, 3, 4. Now I need to skip 5 chains. So I'm going to count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And into the next chain I make a single crochet. One thing I want you to note here is that when you make the treble clusters into the same chain, the next chain becomes very small and hard to see. So make sure you're skipping 5 chains and not 6. Now I make 4 more chains, 1, 2, 3, 4. And again, I'm going to skip 5 chains, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And into the next chain, I will make a treble 4 cluster again. So I have my first treble, my second treble, third, and my fourth treble. Now I finish them all together. Then I make 4 chains, 1, 2, 3, 4, and into the same chain I make a single crochet. Then again 4 chains, 1, 2, 3, 4, and I make another treble 4 cluster into the same chain. Now I finished them all together. So here is what I have so far. And now again, 4 chains, 1, 2, 3, 4. I skip 5 chains, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and into the next chain I make a single crochet. Then again 4 chains, 1, 2, 3, 4, and I skip the next 5 chains, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and into the next chain I make my cluster. Then chain 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, and a single crochet into the same chain. Chain 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, and another treble cluster into the same chain. Then I make 4 chains, 1, 2, 3, 4. I skip the next 5 chains, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and I make a single crochet into the last chain. And my first row is complete. I start my second row with chain 5 turn, and now in top of the next cluster right here I need to make a new treble cluster. So yarn over twice and I make my first treble, then I make my second treble, third treble, and my fourth treble. Now I finish them all together. Then chain 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, and into the same stitch where I made my treble cluster, I make a single crochet. Then chain 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, and I make another treble cluster into the same stitch. Yarn over twice, I make my first treble, I make my second treble, third, and my fourth treble. Now I finish them all together. Next, chain 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, and in top of the next cluster I make a single crochet. Then again chain 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Now I'm going to skip the next chain 4 spaces, and in top of the next cluster I'm going to make a new cluster. 1, 2, 3, 4, and I finish them all together. then chain 4, and into the same stitch I make a single crochet, then chain 4, and I make another cluster into the same stitch, 1, 2, 3, 4. Now again, chain 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, and on top of the next cluster I make a single crochet, then chain 4, 2, 3, 4. I skip the chain spaces and I make a cluster on top of the next cluster, 1, 2, 3, 4. Then chain 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, and a single crochet into the same stitch, chain 4, and a cluster into the same stitch. Then I make chain 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, and I make a single crochet on top of the next cluster. So this is my row 2. So now I just need to repeat the row 2 for the pattern, and here I completed one more row, and this is what my crochet piece begins to look like. Here I repeated row 2 several more times, and this is what my pattern looks like. It looks the same on both sides, and all I need to do now is just continue repeating row 2. So here I used up one skein of yarn, and at this point my scarf is about 51 inches long. This is all I have left, so I'm going to cut off the yarn tail and fasten off. You can make your scarf longer if you wish, but I'm gonna keep my scarf as it is, so I'm just gonna fasten off and hide the yarn tail.